Let's welcome GENBAND's President of Global Sales, Mark Pugerude.
Gotta let the smoke clear. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, African Flyers. By the way, those guys are not done. We have them performing tonight at dinner tonight, and they actually add a little bit more to their performance. They actually throw fire in. Apparently, the Hyatt doesn't want us lighting stuff on fire in the building, so we can do it outside, weather permitting. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Obviously, it was a great first day to start. I thought the speakers were fantastic. I thought the panels were great. And what I got out of there were little golden nuggets of data, little nice information, data points that I'm going to continue to use. And I hope you guys took careful notes because I really thought there were some really great things. And one of the things that I thought really led off the day was when our chairman of the board said, we need to take intelligent risk taking. And really that's one of the things that we really want to get out of this show today. And this event is to give you the opportunity to have a little bit more data to take intelligent risks. And really, when we start to think about intelligent risk, we're talking about not just spending capital, but we're talking about entering new markets, being more aggressive in your business planning. We want you to be more aggressive. We want you to think about how you want to go after new markets and give you the products and the data to do that. So that's what I hope you get out of this next part. Yesterday, obviously, we had the great showcase as well. We could see the new technology and saw everybody. But I really wanted to thank our partners as well. I mean, Tom Carter did a fantastic job from F5, highlighting how we have both a great partnership for session border control and diameter, but also about how you can future-proof your network to make sure you are ready for the next step. And of course, it was a great event with Samsung talking about how they're enriching our experience and helping your customers have more access to technology to solve their daily needs. And I think that's something that when you see that kind of testament to the commitment to GENBAND and the commitment to each other, to our partners, that's the same kind of commitment we want to transfer to you. So we also have another action-packed day today as well. So we have several new speakers that are coming up, and they're going to talk about their own perspectives as well. As when you saw, we have AT&T, we have Liberty Global, and CenturyLink all coming and talking about their own perspective about how they view their network. But one of the things I want to make sure that we arm you with when you go back to your headquarters, what did you learn about GENBAND today? Charlie had tasked me. He said, Mark, I want to make sure, we're going to talk a lot about industry trends, we're going to talk about how we view the business, but I want to make sure when people leave this audience here, when they go back to their headquarters, they're empowered with new information about how GENBAND can help them be more effective in their business. So when we talk about the core, to the edge, to the experience, these are links in a chain. And if you don't do one, you can't do the other. So we are trying to promote a case where we show you that you can have courage in spending in the core to make a better edge. You can have courage to spend on the edge to make a better experience. And that's how we want to make sure that you come away with this with all the data points. And also, we want to make sure that we prove to the people that are back at your headquarters that this wasn't a boondoggle, that you did watch Foreigner and it was a great time, but you actually learned something that was really important for your company. I do have to thank Charlie for Foreigner, by the way. That was a fantastic thing. That was an awesome idea. That was, what was so funny is that I knew every song. I thought I was a fan. I didn't realize I knew every single song, so that was a lot of fun. So let's get to the meat of it. I want to tell you a little bit about how GENBAND actually thinks about your business. When we look at, whoops, we need to go back one, Terry. When we look about your business, we think about it in 3 buckets. And none of these buckets actually are very attractive right now. For you, if you're sitting in a network right now where you have old technology and you're trying to piece together to make a new business opportunity, you've got 3 basic business opportunities that you look at right now: your wholesale network, your business network, and your residential network. As I go through this presentation, I'm going to double click on each one of these. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but none of these are really particularly attractive right now because they're under attack from different avenues or under attack from different competitors. The wholesale network, it is highly complex. It is very price driven. And if you make one tiny mistake, you can lose tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars. The business networks have been cobbled together with lots of different technology. It's very hard to put, to have really a plan together because, you buy a new company, you open a new office, the next thing you know, you have a hodgepodge of a bunch of different technologies. It's really hard to have a cohesive strategy to really have, help your end users. And then there's always new technologies that are coming in. And probably the most attacked business model that's out there for all the carriers is the residential market. At one point, you had the premier billing relationship, you had the premier service. It was sticky, and the only time you really lost a customer is when they either died or moved to another country. And now suddenly, they're under attack from all different angles. So let me double click a little bit on the wholesale network. When we talk about the core to the edge to the experience, we're also talking about how we think about our business, how actually Charlie has organized our business in different business units, and how we actually attack and spend R&D dollars in the way that we focus. And one of the main areas that we do it is wholesale networks. And wholesale networks are increasingly complex. I mean, by definition, you're only in the wholesale networks because you have one thing you got an advantage. You have a coverage area advantage, or you have a network advantage, or you have a protocol or a service advantage. It's the only time and the only reason why you do that, because it's valuable and there's a way to do it. Unfortunately, in wholesale, you don't get paid a lot. I equate it to the fact that it's like you're a brain surgeon, but you get paid like you're mowing the lawn. You're doing really hard work and you don't get paid enough for it. And it's wrought with a lot of liability. And it's also, with all this complexity, it takes a lot of experience to be able to run these very effectively. More often than not, there's no standard peering process. There's no way to really trust who you're connecting to. In the IP world, people connect up in the IP world all the time. It's called settlement-free peering. That is a very foreign concept in the LD world. You don't say, hey, plug into my network, I won't charge you, but I get to use yours and you get to use mine, and hopefully we meet in the middle someplace and it's fair. That's not the way it really works in this space. So you got to be very careful about who you connect with, making sure there's security, making sure there's border, and making sure that you can bill for it. And this gets very complex. So this is a very complex business. So when we do our business planning, when we think about it, these are the problem statements that we wrap around, and we know that you're going to have to solve. So let's put this little wholesale network, let's wrap it up in a box, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Here's the other thing that I think is increasingly difficult. Now, half of my career I've spent on the service provider side. So I just want you to know I've gone to the dark side, all you service providers, and I told them all the secrets, what happens inside the back rooms. So yes, CapEx budgets are unlimited, and the only reason why you don't spend is because you're mean. No, here's the reason why we think this is really difficult. And if coming from a service provider, I can feel your pain. When you look at these three columns, legacy, recent, and trend. Legacy, most of you in this room still have a lot of legacy that's in there. You got 2G, you got PBXs, you got some PRI services. We got a lot of customers that are out there that are just like that. And you're finally got your corporation to move ahead to get to recent, which is 3G, SIP trunking maybe, and a little bit of fiber fed, and you're finally getting and all of a sudden you got Mark Pugerude over at GENBAND telling you everything's moving to trend. Suddenly you got to be cloud ready and all this, and you got people that are right behind you waiting for you to deliver on these promises. That's really tough. You're not even out of the first column, we're already talking about a third column. Well, one of the problem statements that we talk about at GENBAND all the time is when we have disparate technologies and complexity, how do we bridge these columns together? We think that's an important business opportunity that we want to solve with you. We know that some of these network services are not going to go away. We just know it. They're going to hold there for a while. So we build part of this just to make sure that we can attack to the old and make sure that you have future-proof investment protection for the future, for the trends. So we want to make sure that you understand that's what we're going after. That's what our problem statements are. But when you start to see this and you start to line up, you can see how complex this starts to get. Because any way you can put boxes here and there, you can connect all these boxes, and that could be exactly what you need to do to satisfy your customers' demands. And that gets very complex. Finally, the most under-attacked, over-attacked business right now is also got a lot of overhead as well, not just from the old plant, the costly legacy copper plant, but also because it's got a lot of regulatory oversight. And it's got a lot of oversight with taxation, and it's got a lot of oversight with old alarm systems and people that really don't want to upgrade, and they've used the same phone for 30 years and they want it to be there. So as an operator, you're stuck. You're stuck with, how do I make more relevancy out of a home phone number? The home phone number's become less critical. So I don't want to let this slip away. I don't want to let that business and that billing opportunity slip away. And then so many of us now, they're starting to see that, a lot of the sets are old and stale. And even if you have a legacy network, and these networks are rock solid, they've ran for a long time, but now they're becoming very, very suspect. Even if you buy spare parts on the gray market, it's becoming more and more suspect because they just don't have the life cycle. 30 years, if you take a look at what a computer looked like 30 years ago, a computer, I mean, it was antiquated, it was huge, and that's what we're going to run the 911 networks on? That's risky. That's what we're going to run our emergency response on? That's risky. And suddenly the ability to maintain that network has just outlasted its usefulness. You just don't have the ability to do that. So it's very risky. And so this is another thing that we look at this as a business opportunity that we need to work on together. So those are 3 really tough problem statements. These are the things that we go back if you have a secret microphone in our conference rooms, these are the things that we're talking about for you guys. This is what we're talking about. So I said before, now I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can remember GENBAND. These are the things that you guys really need to understand. From the core to the edge of the experience isn't just a tagline. It's the way we think about the business. And when we say a link's in a chain, you really can't be effective at delivering a high-quality IP-enabled experience without a high-quality IP core. You just can't do it. And you can't have a high-quality IP core without connecting up with high-quality partners on the edge. And so when we talk about our business, we talk about the core to the edge of the experience, and then we actually did some branding to give you I'm going to give you a few mnemonic devices. So if there's anything you need to take names on or write notes on to make sure that you look really smart when you go back to headquarters, this is it. So when GENBAND came up with the name, and I really commend our marketing team because they really took a lot of time. And quite frankly, they had to go sell Charlie on it. He's kind of very particular about his naming convention. So somehow it got through the whole process because we were thinking about you, how you should understand this business. So Continuum is our product for the core. Continuum means it's a continuation of the evolution of the core. So when you think of anything that's core related, when it's IMS, IMS Lite, or even legacy switching or VoIP, this is our Continuum base of products. So when you think about Continuum, what we're trying to accomplish here is to set you up with the right foundation to expand into IP. And not only to expand into IP, but to expand in IP in every manner, wholesale, business, experience, every single thing. And so when you see very clever companies, and I'll talk a little bit about them a little bit later on, what they use is they use the core as the excuse to then add on layers for the rest of the product set. And what it really enables you to do then is to start that first link in the chain. And what's great about working at a service provider, and so I'm giving away the secret, but you got to get the ball moving. You got to get the ball rolling. You got to get some confidence that when you take this investment risk, that it's actually going to lead to something. So that's another key thing that we always think about at GENBAND, and I bring that back to my service provider heritage. I do not allow us to release a product where we can't have a sales guy go in there and look you straight in the eye and say, if you buy it today and you fail, you can still use it for something else. We are trying to protect your investment. Our economic interests are not fulfilled if we just sell you one thing and we never talk to you again. That is not the way we are budgeting our money. We don't think that's the way you want to operate. We are purposely designing these products for your success, okay? So Continuum is our core products. Now the nice part about that, it paints this picture, this is the core. Now for Quantix, it's a quantum leap in the scale and evolution of the edge. Our session border control products are market leading. We now, there's some of our customers here like Verizon, the Fios network, and BT, some of the guys at British Telecom. They utilize this in high scale, high performance environments. So when we think about Quantix, it's the quantum leap in capabilities and scale, and it's for interconnect. It's for interexchange, and so we have the IX in there. So it's a brilliant piece of marketing by categorizing this as an interconnect play for the edge. And then the other mnemonic device for us, finally, is Experius. So for Experius, we're trying to create an experience so when you look at a tablet, when you look at a smartphone, when you look at a PC, you can create something that is completely unique for your customer base. It's an experience for us. It's Experius. So now you have these nice mnemonic devices, so when somebody asks you, hey, how was your GENBAND event? You can say, well, they build products from the core to the edge to the experience. They got these great product suites, and you know what? I think we should give them a good hard look because these products are market leading and they've been tested, battle hardened and tested at some of the largest carriers in the world. And all of our experience in our company and our executives are all from the largest companies in the world. Lastly, our last thing is Nuvia. Now, Nuvia, I want to say this, and it's really important, that you understand our thinking. It is eventually going to be old-fashioned to deliver software on a disk, build servers, fire it up, connect to the IP network, and call that a network. That is going to be old-fashioned, just like it's old-fashioned to get software today on a disk. Delivering software services, delivering a software-defined network via the cloud is so easy, it's got such less friction, that this is the only way that it's going to be delivered. Over time, it's going to take a while, and there's going to be social issues. People want to touch the network. They want to see it. They want to build it. Engineers want to be able to understand how they put things together. I understand that. But as time evolves, and if you need to evolve as a network engineer, you need to understand that's going to be the way that things are going, because there's so much less friction to be able to provide technology in that way. So Nuvia actually stands for New Services Via the Cloud, Nuvia. So another nice mnemonic device to remind you, those are the times when you should look at it. So if you're a small rural company and you've got a C15, or if you've got a small user base and you want to think about how you want to expand your services, Nuvia, New Via the Cloud, might be an option for you. If you've got a legacy network and you're trying to upgrade, you want to figure out how you can offer some new advanced services, Nuvia might be an option for you. But any one of these three things, any one of these four things are great opportunities for you to look about how you want to expand your network. So now that we talk about that, let me throw this out there about how we start to apply these to these problem statements and how we put these products together. The most important thing you can do in a complex network, especially an interconnect or a wholesale network, is to make sure you have something that simplifies the experience. What we've been trying to do here at GENBAND is trying to build a core infrastructure that basically enables you to take what was old, make it new on the core with performance and capabilities, but for your unskilled workers or for your new workers or the people that are in the ops center, they still looks and smells like the old network. This is a very complex R&D project. Keith Landau, who runs this business unit for us, he spends a lot of time thinking about with customers, hey, listen, you've got to make this work from this, from the old to the new to the trend. And that's something that is very difficult to do. It's very complex. It also needs to be future-proof for voice, multimedia, signaling, and everything that goes along with it. I do like to have a few reference accounts, and I did spend a little bit of time with the British Telecom guys, and I can tell you that they're very effective at one thing. They've actually worked within their corporation to move it ahead without the corporation, I think, sometimes even realizing how far ahead they've really gotten. Because what they've done is they've actually implemented this kind of architecture, and now they've set themselves up to expand all over the world in all different ways. So it's very clever. So when you think about how you want to promote your products, how you want to promote your vision as a network engineer or a product manager at a carrier, there's some cleverness about that. If you build the core, you get the ability then it's easy, your cost to add the next step function of functionality is much less. You're able to add new apps, new applications, new software to elevate your product offering without having to do a lot more work. That's a great opportunity. The other part about having a really robust network that's built on Continuum as the core and then adding session border control at the edge, you now simplified and secured all your traffic that's coming in and out of the network. You can actually offer fine granular detail about how the traffic wants to shape. We have a product called RSM, and what you're able to do is effectively real-time session management. So you can take a whole suite of call patterns and call types, rate them, weight them, prioritize them based on cost, quality, preferences, and suddenly you have the ability now to interconnect with a lot of carriers, a lot of different functionality, and you can pick the way you want to make money. And you have a lot more finer grained detail. It's a very effective way to manage your network. Finally, GENBAND, we support some of the world's largest wholesale networks, so we have some really nice best practices. We have seen the way carriers can optimally provide services to their customers. And so what we want to do is we want you to be able to take advantage of some of those best practices, what we've learned. And so when we actually offer you these services, when you want to upgrade your core, when you want to do something different with your network, we actually have a professional services organization that helps put all these networks in place. And I'll talk a little bit more about our professional service organization a little bit later. One of the things that it's a new trend in our industry right now. I mean, it's cloud is everywhere, and everyone has a little bit of a raised eyebrow about what does cloud mean. It has actually blossomed into the current meme of the world right now, and it does mean a lot of different things. I read a really interesting article. I mean, it could be terrifying if somebody really wanted to do the math on this, but it's also really interesting. Amazon Web Services has enough embedded computing power and bandwidth capacity that comes in from peering points to process every phone call in the world if it was a G711 codec. Right now, one company, one computer, five data sites, one cluster. So if suddenly all that computing power is available in the network, and people are building this computing, and we got lots of customers. If you remember, Tony Malone from Verizon, one of their growth platforms was Terramark, a cloud-based services company. So you're going to see a phenomenal amount of cloud-based, a phenomenal amount of computing power in the cloud. And similar to what David Walsh said yesterday, the bit finds the cheapest way to get from point A to point B. It's like a river flowing downstream. It finds the least path of least resistance to get down to the bottom. Same with technology. That's why Wi-Fi is prevalent, because it's easy. That's why Ethernet's available everywhere, because it's easy. That's why IP is available everywhere, because it's easy. So the easier it is, the less friction there is, the quicker it's going to go. So you can't ignore the fact that cloud-based services are not going to be prevalent, because it's too easy, having services in the cloud. So that's why we spend a lot of time thinking about it. That's why we've developed this service. It's part of our professional services group run by Jeff Townley and Ramneek Camo. These guys have built this platform from the ground up with carrier-grade capabilities in mind. It's unified communications as a service. So the features that you normally got on your phone, on your PC, and all those things are all resident now in the cloud. And you pull these things down from the cloud. And we're able to white label it, customize it, so it looks like your own experience. It's got a portal, it's got a storefront, it's got the ability where you can be as much of a sales and marketing machine as you want, or you can be a network service provider and a sales and marketing machine, depending on how you want to do it. So it also gives you the opportunity, what I think is really important, it gives you the opportunity to reduce risk, reduce CapEx, reduce OpEx. Gives you an opportunity to take a chance. So that's really important. We want to make sure that you get the opportunity to experiment, to go and do these things, and then when you find those things that stick, you hammer them home. That's what we're looking for. Our economic success is only benefited by your success. So it's instant availability of state-of-the-art services. So even if you are a low-skilled, low-capitalized, very distressed carrier, you can still offer some of these advanced services and try to move up the chain. If you don't make that decision, someone else is going to make it for you. You'll either be relegated to nothing, or you'll try to move up the chain. So now I'm going to talk about a couple of new things. These are the things that we hunker down on. We basically just got done telling you that these are the things, this is what GENBAND is all focused on, about how we think your business, we think about your business. Now, some new things are happening in the industry right now. And again, I just said a little bit about how cloud communications and network computing power is so prevalent that you can't ignore it. But one of the other things that's going to happen that's so prevalent is that if it's old-fashioned to send a disk, and you got all this computing power sitting in the network, sooner or later, all the functions in the network can just sit in the network. And virtualizing your network functions will be something that will be available to you. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up here, it's really important, the fact that you think about, if you're going to evolve your core, your edge to your experience, you need to know that your provider, your vendor, your supplier is here for the long term and is doing planning and thinking to help you get to a nirvana, which is hardware is basically the necessary evil. These networks are really all software. These are all software. So the sooner we get away from hardware dependencies, the more profit we both make, including the service provider. Now they're less dependent on hardware, more dependent on software, which is what all your users are using already today. So we want to make sure that you understand that we are thinking about how to change the cloud pricing model. We want to make sure you understand that. So when we think about network functions virtualization, it's really defined as part of the software-defined network. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but this levels the playing field against all the other over-to-the-top providers. One of the CIOs today, I wish I wrote my notes and I forgot who had said it, but he said that HTML5 and WebRTC, that's going to make companies like Skype and everything look ancient because anybody will be able to do it. It won't be client-driven services. It won't be proprietary. It won't be any of those things. Anybody will be able to do it. Suddenly, the whole network becomes in a virtual world. It sits in software and in servers, and you access certain network resources, open those resources up for new services. It's what you decide to do at any one time. This is why we're starting from scratch on this. I mean, we're not starting from scratch on this. We already did this concept already in our Genius platform. So our Genius platform already has virtualization of software in compute blades on our ATCA chassis. So not to get too technical, but I know there's plenty of engineers out here. You guys know this. Virtualization of software is still complex, but there's a lot of suppliers out there that enable that. What we've done is we've taken advantage of all those technology trends, especially with our computer chips and how fast, with Sandy Bridge Intel. We're now able to do a lot of computing on a single blade. We can take all of our applications on a single blade, and soon we'll be able to do that in the cloud. Everyone will be able to do that. So if you don't start now, don't start it with a core, you're going to be behind. And then you know what? I tell this story because it's true. In 5th grade, I got sick. I was out for 3 weeks or something like that, and I missed long division. I missed long division. You know what? I got terrified of math for 2 years. It screwed me up because I missed one class. It turned out I was actually pretty good at math. I just didn't know it. I just missed one thing, and it gave me, I was self-conscious about it. This is the same thing that's happening right now. You miss this class, you're going to feel self-conscious about what you know about this business because this is the way it's going. Network virtualization and software-defined networks. One of the big things we've talked about here, and you've seen this buzzword, it was really nowhere. HTML5 was really nowhere at Mobile World Congress this last year. My prediction is HTML5 and WebRTC will be the buzzword. And it's going to be like when I tell you, like when you first buy a car, hey, I just got this new car. I got this new Ford Taurus, Then all of a sudden you see the Ford Taurus everywhere, right? It's just the way it is. Now you're going to see it everywhere because I mentioned it, and we're going to look really smart. So give us some credit for that. But HTML5, you're going to see it, and the reason why, again, this is why this is going to be so prevalent, because it's too easy. There's 1 million web designers that are out there that are fully capable of now building a rich communications platform on a website. There's millions of them. They're easily accessible everywhere. The low barrier to entry is going to make it easy for people to be cheap and to fail and to find success. There's over 1 million apps in the App Store, but really probably there's only 10,000, maybe only 5,000, maybe there's only 1,000 that really are relevant. The rest of them are all crap. So that means that the reason why it's helpful is because you can afford to fail. They're only $1, so you throw it away. It's the same thing with HTML5. It's going to be just like the river flowing downhill. It's too easy, people are going to do it, and there's going to be a lot of creativity. Think of how when you see a really creative website, now imagine a really creative website that you can launch a call with chat, you can create a unique user experience, you can build a community of networks. I heard a great example where somebody could do an HTML5 and WebRTC for a housing development. Let's say it's Parkwood Lane Estates, a bunch of, you got a swimming pool, a racquetball court, you got kids that want to babysit, you got garage sales. You could have the Parkwood Estates website, looking for babysitters, click to call here, Susie's available. We're having a garage sale on Wednesday, click to call here. You can find out more about the details. That's where HTML5 is going to go. It's going to create quick verticalization, quick community of users, quick. It's going to be the primary enabler for WebRTC. HTML5 will be so prevalent, you'll be able to start a multimedia session anywhere, anytime, build it on any browser, doesn't matter which operating system, which phone, which device, which tablet. So that's exciting for us because we then see WebRTC as a key driver for the industry. So WebRTC, it's real-time communications in the web. No plugins, no downloads, it's embedded in the code, and anybody can program to it. Currently, right now, it's got a lot of traction. Google and Mozilla, both are firmly behind it. It's so powerful, it's going to be really hard for anybody to fight that battle because it is too easy. Like I said, why are all these things readily available? Because they're easy. Free also is a relevant word. I mean, free on WebRTC means a lot of people can go out there and play on it. They can make it work. But you know what needs to happen in the middle? You got to have the core. You got to have the edge. You got to have the experience. Not only that, when you got to have all those things, you also got to link into the old world. So you can't just be, you can't just have your WebRTC world and you can't have your old world. You got to be able to bridge the two together. So make sure we're going to have a webinar. So if you want to take a little bit of note and you want to have one little homework assignment, we have a webinar coming up on May 8th. So May 8th. May 8th, we're going to have a webinar on WebRTC, and we'll have our smart people on WebRTC to go through that presentation. And you will see all the development cycles and what we're going to do for WebRTC. It's a fantastic business opportunity for service providers right now because it is the unparalleled equal to anybody that's doing over the top. You know, I always say, you know, I sat there and watched Verizon speak yesterday. I thought it was a great speech. But, you know, 15 years ago, I was working at a CLAC on the service provider side, and those guys were the dinosaurs. And CLACs were going to rule the world, right? Well, this is the only time in evolution, I think, where the dinosaurs got bigger and stronger somehow, and now all of a sudden they have all these great business opportunities. They keep getting better, right? So there's something to that. They weren't really dinosaurs. They were actually very advanced mammals because they had the network. The network was the part that was the defining factor. So if you have a network, you still have the ability to control the user experience. Don't give it away to the over-the-tops. Make sure that you take advantage of all the new benefits of WebRTC. So as minute that you have the ability to now provide services that go over WebRTC, over your existing infrastructure, you're providing a solution that fits exactly what your customers want. So let me talk about the final problem statement of the product that we're really happy to announce, but now I want to make sure you be able to internalize it and bring it home. We realized that WebRTC was going to be a big driver for this business. We also realized that the edge of the network where the session border control sits, is also where the adjudication of the one, for one domain to come in and another domain to come out. It's a secure point, it's a transaction point, it's a point where traffic is passed. Well, when you start to realize WebRTC, it needs a adjudication point. It needs a point where it can go into the old world and the new world. So that's what GENBAND did. BG Kumar, who runs that business operation, he has built, so I've known BG for 12 years. The one thing that's great about BG, he's an inventor. When I worked with him, we ran a small telecommunications company in Virginia. He came with me with a new product, a new app server, and we started from scratch, and we built a business. And when we said, hey, I need something that looks like this, that's what they built. And that's the power that you have behind you right now, is you have somebody that's an inventor, that thinks about things and then puts new things in practice. That's what we saw with Experius and with Spider. We're going to have this WebRTC world. It needs to talk to the IMS world. It needs to talk to the legacy world. GENBAND, by definition, is a gateway company. We've always been doing that from day one. Protocols in, protocols out, old networks in, new networks out. That's what we do. So it stands to reason that we're going to be excellent in this, and we have leapfrogged the competition. Here's the reason why we leapfrogged competition. We already saw this problem statement before anybody else did. That's why we released this product the way we did. That's why we already have tier ones that are already operating with this system and beta testing it right now. So as you start to think about WebRTC, you got to think about how you fold it back into your legacy, your current, and your trend. So right now, this enables you to now go after a whole host of different markets, go after new business opportunities, and have even a better and tighter social network integration effort. So Spider, the revenue growth we think is going to continue with over the top, and we think that not only will this enable you to have a more richer experience for your customers, but it's going to make you feel like you're offering something new to their customers that they're not seeing from anybody else right now. So let me talk a little bit about, I'm going to wrap up here in just a few minutes, but let me just talk about how networks are evolving right now and how we're thinking about the business. Then I'm going to directly apply it to GENBAND products, all right? So when we talk about the smart core, smart edge, and smart experience, we're seeing how the networks evolve. Some of this is, everyone realizes TDM to IP, to hybrid, to all IP. We're not to the all IP stage yet. We're certainly not. And there's still a lot of people that are, that are pushing back on that. We want to make sure that we push into that as fast as we can. And the next phase, and why we're doing the design work that we're doing right now, is with cloud and network virtualization. The old network with POTS and PRI and cellular now is morphed into a very complex unified communications platform. We're trying to enable you to make sure that you have the ability then to be able to have all these other rich communication services at easy disposal for you, without clients, without the ability to have software, to buy it from the cloud, to be able to have all this experience right at your fingertips at a very low risk, so you can take a chance. You can have that intelligent risk-taking. And finally, you need to be able to be relevant. So we want to make sure that you understand that. So the way we have put this together with our products, we've created a competitive experience layer on every layer. First and foremost, we have the GENBAND Global Services. This is a team of 800 people that are GENBAND people, plus another 1,200 or so contractors, 2,000 I think it may be, contractors at our disposal. So when we talk about installation work, network planning, doing all the pre-engineering work and post-engineering work and testing, that's what we're talking about for GENBAND Global Services. So if your network's not ready, you can still lean on GENBAND to do that. And I think it's another great example of when Verizon, it's important for you to get going on it. Because when the chips are down, when there's like a Hurricane Sandy or something like that, if we're not already working with each other, it's hard to like just put the pedal on the gas and really be going really pretty quickly. What we've been able to do is by working with our customers and being able to do some of these installs, we get familiar with you. We know your processes. We know how to communicate and to conduct commerce to make sure that we can actually build these networks fast for you. And that's the nice part about GENBAND. We're big enough, we're solid enough, we have the right financial backing to make sure that we're here for the long term. And by the way, with partners like GENBAND from the core to the edge, we're able to do all of this stuff for you in one network plan. Well, our Smart Core, we have our IMS and Converged Core offerings. And then, as Charlie had mentioned before, which I think is a universally unique product, is our Q-Flex product for session border control. The complexity for SIP trunking has now been reduced. We're taking the friction out. So now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what device you have, we have over 50 in our catalog of interoperability, where you can plug in, tie back into a session border control in the core, and it works every time. And then we saw how we're enhancing our Smart Office, Smart Home, and Smart Life by the cloud, as well as other opportunities that are built in. So that enables you right now. And you saw our evolution path with WebRTC. So we're not going to stop. We're assuming that your competition is not going to stop. And our only economic interest is to make sure you're successful. So we're excited about our development effort. We're excited about the way we spend our R&D dollars. And if you're smart, if you're a smart carrier, I can tell you I would be doing this if I were you. I would be leaning on my GENBAND salesperson. I'd be telling them, this is what I want on my roadmap. You should think of us as your internal development shop. We are here to help you. So it's exciting. We think that we have a lot of neat opportunities, and if there's anything that you can do when you go back to your headquarters to promote something like that, you say, we are here for you. We are definitely, as part of your internal offering, we want to make sure you're successful. So let me just finish up right here. Our innovation for our partnerships, you've seen it. Not only do we have our partnerships, not only do we have our innovation for the core, the edge, and the experience, but our partnerships actually follow that same line. We had Ericsson really for the core. We partner with them worldwide around for IMS opportunities for mobile RAN and some other things. We have zero product overlap, and we have a very good working relationship with the company. For the edge, you just saw F5 talk about how we are uniquely partnered for the edge and how to create that experience. And then we have Samsung partner for the experience. The nice part about GENBAND is that you always know you have an advocate at GENBAND for future-proofing and investment protection. You will not waste $1. We are here to help you get to the next step. And then finally, with all the new innovation that's going on with HTML5 and WebRTC, and our ability to take advantage of computing power in the network, and our ability to take over virtualization, we have a proven track record of delivering kind of those services right now, already in operation on our Genius platform. So you have confidence right now that we've been able to do that time in and time out. And finally, to wrap it all up, we have this proven track record of a strong services organization. We've been able to wrap this whole thing up and give you some comfort that even if your staff can't quite do it, we can still do it, and we can still help you out. Our job is to try to make you successful. So I hope you got a little bit out of that. I hope you actually took some careful notes, because to make sure that nobody thinks that you weren't here really working hard and learning something. And what's really exciting is we still have a great set of new speakers that are coming up. We have Chuck coming up from AT&T, and I'm going to turn the mic over to them. But thank you again for everybody, and I thank you for your attendance at Perspectives. I hope you get the most out of it as you can with the users group as well. So thanks.